Ashe to all my people, grand afternoon, grand another day. Uh, this is another short video, part of Healing the Hood series. Part 8, I think. How to honor your ancestors' practices. Basically, your mother, your father's mother's father's father, your grandparents, your great-great-grandparents, those who came before you, who paved the way for you, obviously because you're here, right? How to honor their sacred teachings, their customs, their way of lives, how they dealt with things, their thought processes, the way they did their hair. How can you honor them? So, from my experiences, whether reading books like you know the definitions of the Ifas and Loas, Yoruba. It was a main particular books on all the veves and sigils that goes along with each Ifa and Loa, and particularly they're referencing Haiti or Espanola. But the Kabbalion does talk about it. And just also the very most important thing is speaking to your grandmother, your grandfather, your great-great-father, great-great-grandmother, if you have the ability. If not, this is where you have to start doing the digging. You have to do the research on your own. And it's a beautiful, intrinsic thing. It goes on forever, right? Especially in the society that we live in today where everything was hidden. And especially for some of us, it was erased, right? And someone else's story was placed in ours. So finding who you are can seem exhausting. But I chose to do this video to help bring enlightenment to anyone who feels lost, anyone who feels, they can be doing more than what they're doing, or just needs an answer on who they are, right? First things first, no one can tell you who you are. You have to figure that out on your own. And figuring that out on your own is knowing where you came from, knowing where you're going, and knowing where you're at. Or knowing where you're at, then know where you're going. But in order to do that, you have to know where your people came from. Where were you born? Where was your mother born? Where was your lineage, descendants? Where did you come from? Where did it descend from? Where did it start? You were a descendant of somewhere. So where did you come about? Some of us, our lineage has been erased and those papers have been burned and lost. And so through the mixing, amalgamation of tribes, some of us might not really know who we are. So I speak to those who understand, as long as you love yourself, there goes your customs. Whatever that you feel is deemed necessary for those that you love in your household, your seeds, children, kids, however you want to put it, whatever you deemed worthy to teach your children, establish those boundaries to keep that going forward. If you see something or if you grew up a particular way and you're like, no, that doesn't fit us, then alter that in your household. We can't change society. We can't change the world around us, but it does start in the home. Governance of self starts in the home. So majority of us are comfortable with living a life that we have. So we don't want to self-govern. We rather allow someone else to govern us, meaning someone give us direction, tell us where to go, how to go, when to go, where to go, at any particular point in time. And then when we don't do that, we feel that, we're wrong. We're sent to the principal's office as if we did something wrong, right? And, we pay the consequences. Because, they preyed on us. But, we pay the consequences, bearing the lack of our ignorance, And the fact that most people are unwilling to learn themselves, who they are, who their people are, they just go through society just thinking everything is okay with how things are, you know, seeing nothing past the material. You know, you got the car, you got the job, you got the house, you know, you have the holidays, okay, you just have life in general. Yeah, good people, you know, get the bad end of the stick sometimes, and sometimes good people just win all the time. Supposedly that's just how life is. But there are other alternatives. There is a flip side to that, you know, which is truth, you know, which is nature, you know. Anytime you have a problem within yourself that is too much noise on the outside, look at nature. Nature will always solve the most simplistic problem that you have. And sometimes we think our problems are huge, but if you look at the bigger scale of things or bigger scheme of things, oh my gosh, there's so much bigger stuff, going on more than what we have going on in our own personal lives. So that's where we have to take accountability of unity, regardless of what ethnicity you are, regardless of what nationality you are, regardless of what part of the continent you're from. You know, I want to be careful how I word that, but we are all one in the sense we all have to live this life, and together we all make this world move. You know what I'm saying? We all have a part to do, basically, you know. And in order to do your part, you have to honor thy mother and thy father. You have to honor your ancestors, those who came before you. And another way to do that is to understand what was your customs. How did your ancestors, your family, right? Your lineage, how did they talk to the higher power? Were they Christians? Did they always, look at religion as, a gathering? Did they do things part of their religion, some type of rituals? Did they, was it always the women that sang and the men that did the drums? Or, when there was a problem within, two different tribal members, did they bring it to the elders? Wasn't always a courtroom. That's how the courtroom got their theology, and their antics of how they do things, was because of this. So you have to see how that applies to your family, that lineage, your family tree. How did y'all do those things? For example, some people pray to the east, right? Some people light incense, smudge, if you will. Some people sacrifice, say like if you cut your hand, that particular blood, or you get a chicken or some type of, animal like that. Generally it's a chicken because they don't be sacrificing. So I've seen some people do dogs, but that's more of a hicks on somebody. That's not good energy. So you sacrificing a dog. But chickens, because they're so plentiful, that's just like having a fish. You're not going to, one chicken, you're not going to be without a chicken, right? And so, they could do sacrifices, or they can all go out in nature and meditate. They can all have certain people think of the same thing all at once, right? Or, you can do candles, lighting candles, looking at colors, sound, some did singing, or singing bowls, or sound resonance, through like chimes, or tune forks, or things like that, and then also through sight. Like, people can zone out and go within, that they're able to have visions and, see, like, I would say prophetic prophecies or something like that, but just have premonitions. There you go. They have premonitions, So it just really depends, and that's where you have to do that work of knowing thyself, because the culture that has been presented to us, or anybody, has nothing to do with just my kind. The overall culture is just divided individualism, and conquer, and greed. That's not a culture. There's no love in that. And for all of you who are struggling to find a side, the sides have already been decided. Now it's either you're good or you're bad. Either you're for us or you're against us. You're doing what is right or you're doing what is wrong. There's no more in between. There's no more, hey, saying, if it doesn't apply to me, that's none of my business. Now, there are instances where it's none of your business, but we're talking about, again, the overall, because, again, regardless of what ethnicity or where part of the world you come from, we are all in this together. And, if we don't understand that, divided collectively, we are one, we will never have peace on earth. Nothing good will ever begot all of the sacrifices that have been made through people who are no longer here, right? You know what I'm saying? And whether they be locked up or actually physically no longer here, it's still it's terrible, right? So you have to look for those particular rituals, ceremonies, and then being with self-healing. Are you part of the healers? Are you part of the gatherers? Are you part of those who keep us together? Are you a part of the ones who keep order? Are you a part of the, tribal unions, those who, chose to raise the family, keep the children while certain people go to war, or certain people politic about the discussions that need to be talked about within the tribe? What is your part? What are you good at? What is your hobby? What is your talent, basically? Are you good at sewing? Were you good at making our garments, or in our headdress? Were you good with the makeup? What is it that you're good at that you could play a part by honoring your ancestors, by doing what they used to do, right? But you must first find your tribe. So say if you grew up in the foster home, you don't know who your tribe is. Even if you try to find it, you became at a dead end, right? So you're like, okay, well, forget it. I am me, and if I choose to procreate, have children after me, this is what our customs is going to be. Each Tuesday we're going to do this. Each year we're going to do this. Each 6 months we're going to do this. We're going to wear our hair like this. We're going to wear these certain colors. When somebody transitions, we wear these colors. When somebody gets married, we do these things. You have to set the tone for your family. That's called self-governance. You have to be able to, as what they say, pull yourself up by your own bootstraps. Pull the bull by your own horns, or I don't know. Just, you have to do it yourself, So what is it that you deem right? But it has to be of right. And what they call the Mayan principles is basically, is what I'm doing helping my neighbor? Is what I'm doing helping myself, my children, everyone around me? Everything that you do when you're evolving truth, when you're evolving nature, when you're evolving real life, is just love. It's harmony. There's no sickness. There's nothing bad, right? So you have to encompass all of that, And then on the flip side, because we are in the physical life, when such things do occur, where you have to protect yourself, or you have to stand up for yourself, or something happens to you that's out of your control and it really is affecting you or your family, how do you handle that? How do you transmute that energy? Do you meet it at its own energy, or do you put it in other avenues? Because energy is always in motion, so you can use it for how you want to use it, right? And maybe that's what some of your ancestors, your family members, were very, very good at, being able to deal with, the racism or just the connivingness of a tribal member, but still keeping their cool, not allowing no one to see their emotion, because it can be here and gone the next. So why hold on to it, right? And then, but using it in a different way, that if they keep manipulating it, that energy, I'm going to make it to where I'm going to put up a brick wall, so the next time that they do it, that it's going to ricochet and hit them back. And it's going to be even worse. And to where they have to learn their lesson, you know? We can't just keep being passive aggressive and thinking that if we turn the other cheek, or if we get redressed with something, that we can't take it for face value. We have to alter how it comes to us. No, the truth doesn't have to be explained nor validated. So, we have to honor and stand on it 10 toes down. What you say is your truth and what you believe to be truth. So, where are your people from? Go ahead and trace and compare the dates along with his story, so you can definitely understand the mind frame of your father and your mother when they had you. Understand the times that they were born in. That's why I always do, when you trace, I always recommend, if you trace your genealogy, also have his story timeline right next to it as a reference, so you can literally see what was going on in the AKA world at that time, when you were born, when your father was born, when your parents were born, grandparents, and thereon and thereforth. So it can be done. It can give you a glimpse, like Sankofa. You'll be the bird going forward, but your head is back. So it can be done to give you just a glimpse, regardless of what ethnicity you are, because, it is the age of technology. So not only those who look like me and think like me will see the channel, you know what I'm saying? And so, but still, understand who you are, regardless of where you come from. There is an ability to trace back to who you are, regardless. And even if it's a zero end, you have to look at what you have to go back to your ethnicity. If there was no parental paper trail, then you can definitely use your ethnicity, and that will eliminate a whole lot of confusion and why people feel, opinion over fact, or, someone else ruling the masses versus you being able to rule yourself, So, then it's like, honor yourself, honor your new tribe. Like, again, establish your own home. What is it that you want to see about the world change? So, okay, we'll change that in yourself. Like Michael Jackson says, the man in the mirror. If you want your children not to wear cotton, start making your own clothes. You know what I'm saying? And if you still have to participate in society, to feed your family, or however that may be in your life, however it is, while you participate in society, put your own stamp on it. As long as it's not harming anyone and, putting off someone else or doing damage to something, or even if it makes someone feel less than, you have to operate in your truth, right? So, but then what is your truth? Is your truth stemmed from bigotry and ignorance and hatred, or does it stem from what they call material fact? It can be traced somewhere. So that's the truth. It has no ending. It keeps going, right? You can follow it. So don't get so caught up that society has become so accepting of the human being to be reliant on information being fed to them versus finding out who you are, what your place is in the world. So, we become so self-reliant on society to give us direction. Say if you're looking to start a business, you rather go hire someone to tell you how to do that versus doing your due diligence, your self-work, your own candor, finding every little aspect about something that you have interest in, and then where you need clarity on, then go get the expertise, if not become the expert yourself, right? Because all the information is out there. Why you think there's libraries? They're not just there because they have books of empty pages. There's a lot of rhetoric. There's meaning people just saying nothing well. There's a whole lot of references that point to other books that predate man, if you want to say. You know what I'm saying? But it has been interpreted and translated through men throughout the ages, you know? So we have to stop and ask ourselves, if the truth about who we really are was told to us, how would you handle it?